In the house, as always, on time, Edwin Obuya, front and center, and right next to me, Fanya Mambo Kinodia. So, Wamunyoro, amesema there are killer squads
yes,
that have been sent to him, and if anything happens to him, it's on Ruto.
You can't really believe, or you can't throw away what Wamunyoro is saying. You can't say that is, sensationalize everything. You know, it could be true that there are those killer squads. It could be that Wamunyoro is trying to make sure that he has sympathy votes or sympathy from the Murima people, because he is a politician. But you cannot dismiss what he's saying, because we have been in this country before. We have seen politicians go through those issues before. We saw George Captain die in the same way. We saw politicians being killed. We saw Mutula Kilonzo, he died at a pool. Kajuang senior died in the same way. Yeah. So you cannot dismiss what Wamunyoro is saying, but at the same time, you have to take it with some pinch of salt, because he's a politician and he wants to make all the news be about him, and one way of doing it is making sure that Fanya Mambo still anamwonea huruma na kusema kwamba he has to whip the emotions of the mountain.
Yes.
For people to imagine that Rigiji will be vegetables, it will elicit a lot of anger from the mountain.
It is true. It is true, because we saw a lot of vehicles mobilized along Thika Road and blocking all the ways towards Gatanga and so on and so forth. And I felt like if the state wanted to arrest Rigiji, a summon is enough. This is a person they know where they would find.
Yes.
They know where he lives. But all this bravado ya kupanga masubaru 500 na kubarricade barabara and all that nonsense, it was not necessary. The person of Rigiji's life could be in danger, and when someone says that, you'd rather provide them with security and then find that they were not in danger, other than ignore, then lose them, then the country goes into anarchy. We have to be respectful of people's lives. Times without number, goons have been sent to churches where he's gone to worship. Goons have been sent to even a barrio. Karibu siku moja waangushe casket in Limuru, if you remember. And that is the state that we are saying is meeting violence upon its own citizens. So Rigiji must be provided with security, whether people like him or people don't like him. The truth is, he needs to be provided with security, and he needs to be respected.
Obuya, let me ask you this. He's also been accused of inciting. He says 2007 will be what? A picnic or a cakewalk? Or
yes, it will be a child play.
Child's play, exactly. Compared to
2027. But we have been here before, Jeff. We have been here before. We have seen Uhuru did the same things. Moi before him, Kibaki, the same things. And when Ruto came to power, he said, never again will is he going to politicize or weaponize the justice system to deal with his opponents. But that's exactly what he's doing. What Rigiji said is nothing out of ordinary, because what he said is that if you don't do ABCD, if you cannot make sure that the elections are free and credible, then we could have a situation where 2027 will be a child's play.
Yeah.
Which any right-thinking Kenyans will say it's a fact, actually, because if you don't do elections free and fair, there is a possibility that we are going to have chaos.
Yes.
There was nothing that he did that warrants all this noise that we are hearing. But like I said, these are politicians, and that's how they do their business.
Look at the front page of the Standard, Obuya. You saw that, huh?
Yes.
It was like Ruto's
the ruthless president. The president had promised that he's not going to do what is happening right now, but he actually promised that never again will his deputy go through what he went through. But his deputy went through worse than what he went through. Actually, he was impeached. He promised that never again is he going to weaponize the justice system. But we are seeing the same things that we have talked against happening. We see Natembeya being facing charges. We see Salasio, for all the people being charged with hate speech. Salasio is one of the free souls around. He's always laughing. You don't want to accuse Salasio of spreading hate speech. It doesn't hold any water, actually. And the way Salasio was arrested, it was so dramatic that you wonder why go through all those things. the way whatever happened to at Natembea's home yesterday in Trans Nzoia, why would a government go through all those things? Why can't, because Natembea is a known person, is a governor. This is a person that has worked in administrative government. You know, he has been a regional coordinator. So this is a person you can always summon and tell, we want you here and here on such and such a date. Why go through all those drama and you want to tell people that it's not political? People will read politics in all this.
We have discovered that in the whole of the Rift Valley, hakuna corrupt governor. They are all clean. In the whole of Mount Kenya, hakuna corrupt governor. Anybody who is supporting the Kenya Kwanza administration cannot be corrupt. Corruption is a preserve of those people who fight this government. And that's why unaenda unakuta ati Natembea automatically has become corrupt. Any person who appears to fight this administration or to say no to this administration. Can you imagine, out of 47 governors, the state has discovered that only those who are saying no to this administration are corrupt. That is weaponization of the agencies that are in this country to fight corruption and all those other things being used to fight people who are perceived not to support this administration. And this is exactly what Kenyans were saying no to. They are not saying do not arrest Natembea. And then sasa unaangalia nani anaenda kuarrest Natembea. You know, now that is what is annoying. Ni mtu tunasikia wana renovate State House. Every State House is in a constant state of renovation. Kuna manyundo huko every day kuku. Every year State House, in fact every 6 months inaallocatiwa 1 billion. Harambee House, a place where the head of state never goes, has never been seen to be, imeallocatiwa 2.3 billion. Hata wange renovate ile Land Cruiser yake juu anashindanga juu ya Land Cruiser. Sio Harambee House. So the people who are even coming to say Natembea is corrupt, you know, is like a pot calling the kettle black and laughing at the kettle. That is where it pains us the most. Ati 104 billion ya sha imeenda tu hivyo. Yeah, ati Citizen inaweza amka ipoteze 15 billion na hakuna swali.
Hivyo tu.
Ati tunaweza patiwa fake fertilizer, donkey shit tunapewa tu na it's okay. And that administration is the one that is pointing a finger and saying Natembea is corrupt. This is what is annoying Kenyans. It is not even the person being arrested, as the pastor are arresting. Unajua, you know, a bank robber is coming to say a chicken thief is bad. That is the imagery. Iwe umeiba billions kwa bank, unakuja kusema yule mwenye aliiba kuku ya jirani anafaa kufungwa. I think let us start from the top. If we are looking for corrupt people, they are right there at the top.
God forbid Natembea could be corrupt. He could, whatever they are saying could be true. It could be true that you know, he did some deeds that are shady. He's a politician. It could be true that that happened. But the manner that the government is going about this issue is what is making Kenyans very suspicious. Because this is a person that has been critical of the government. This is a person that, you know, even government bigwigs have warned him that, you know, we are coming for you. And for that to happen, and then they go for Natembea in the manner that they went for him, that raises a lot of eyebrows. And that's why people are saying that this is a ruthless president. This is a president that wants to silence his critics. Na sidhani kama ataweza, because, you know, Kenyans sio Tanzania ati utarudisha mtu alafu people will keep quiet and say tunataka amani. Because Kenyans, if you push them, they will push back. We don't sit silently and enjoy our suffering. No,
you can only push so much.
Yes, and you saw what happened yesterday in Trans Nzoia. You know, those are citizens who went and vandalized cars that belong to EACC.
Subaru ya DCI.
Subaru za DCI wakapewa kila kitu. And that just shows you how where we are as a country. We are very angry nation, and anything small. If, for example, if today they went for Rigiji and God forbid they went for Rigiji and said in the manner that they went for Natembea yesterday, there will be chaos. And that's just a fact of the matter, that at this time and time and moment in this country, people are very angry with this government, and anything small will trigger a lot of bad reaction.
And if I remember, what was the deal with the Catholic priest who had been praying with the truthful man, and then he was found murdered?
He was found murdered 50 kilometers from his workstation. It's strange because before he hosted Rigiji, I don't think he was a candidate for death. So it's becoming very, very, very tricky, very difficult. We don't know what is happening, but you are seeing even Obina. You remember what happened after his show? He was arrested. These are the things we are saying. You cannot intimidate the opposition. You cannot intimidate people from having a conversation. I think what we should be speaking about is the content of what has been said during a particular meeting. Is it a bad content? Is it explosive? Is it the wrong content? That for me is what we should be questioning. And from where I sit right now, we have an administration that is not willing to take up anything. But Jeff, allow me to tie that with something that is happening only within Mount Kenya. Na tumekasirika. In fact, sisi watu wa Mulima, we are not happy. What they've decided is to bribe the people of the mountain. Wanakuja wanasema wako na pesa. Na by the way, tunataka mtuambie pesa mnatoa wapi, because it was not budgeted for. It is not in the budget. It is not CDF money. It is not county money. We don't know where this money is coming from. But every weekend, they are going somewhere within Mount Kenya, putting our people somewhere in a tent, and then telling them to form youth groups and women groups, and then giving them money. Our people are not ready for handouts. We are sick and tired of this administration. Sahi, mtoto akizaliwa leo Kenya, hakuna BCG vaccine. They are not getting this permanent dent that we used to get. There is none of that. But there is money being given, by fact led by this DP. Wanazunguka only within, kwani Mount Kenya peke yake ndio watu hawana pesa, hawana nini. They're just forming groups. Those groups have to be within Mount Kenya, and then they come and bribe voters. It's happening every weekend, and they're promoting it. In every constituency, they are going around and just giving our people money for free. We are telling this administration, we are not foolish. Hiyo pesa watu wa Mulima watakula, lakini they're not going to vote for this administration. Go and buy BCG. That's what Kenyans need. Go and give capitation to school. Go and make sure that people can be able to afford living. But hii ujinga ya kuja ati muna mobilize watu, women group unapewa pesa. That is a bribery. Daylight bribery.
Si wakule hiyo do.
And that's what I
na hawatuambii kwenye inatoka.
That's why I told Fanyamambo that it's going to be very difficult. The government, being the government, will use each and every machinery within its disposal to try and get those votes back. And if it's bribery, they are going to bribe people, and they are going to bribe them. This in Kionjo too, because they will be there each and every weekend with the empowerment meetings, with all those things. And so even as Rigiji tries to, get that vote from William Ruto, it's going to be very difficult, because the government is going to, engage each and every machinery to make sure that they get as many votes as possible, because now the assignment by DP ni kitu moja tu. We want to make sure that as many votes from the mountain we get them back. But what the government is doing has it has two scenarios, results that can happen. One is that the government might manage to silence some of the critics, and the criticism could slow down. But two, the government might also manage to radicalize those critics even more, such that sasa hata ukienda Trans Nzoia sasa watakwambia wewe hata do not step here, because now you touching our own. Don't step in Trans Nzoia, because it could have that effect, that the people of opposition could be more radicalized, and they could be more critical of this government to a point that they are going to recruit more and more radicalized people, Kenyans, against the government.
And meeting force with force will not work.
It can't work. It will not in Kenya. It will not work. Maybe in Tanzania or Rwanda or Uganda it could work, because when you crash on somebody, they will lie low and would not complain. But in Kenya, ukinifinya utanifinya, lakini I will be wailing. When I'm wailing, Fanyamambo watasikia na nasema what is happening.
What's going on?
And once it happens, we saw this with the finance bill. They tried to kill people. They tried to muzzle even the internet. They tried to do all those manner of things. But the more they did, the more the protest was snowballing into something else. Yes.
The truth for men, amesema. If anything happens to him, who do we blame?
It's the responsibility of the state to provide security for its citizens.
No, but
and it's even a bigger responsibility to provide security for people who've held public office.
He was telling Oga Obina that his boss, his former boss, is worth how much? 3-4 trillion?
Yes, it's possible.
3-4 trillion
is highly likely.
Obuya, that's our budget.
Yes. If you can wake up one day and lose 104 billion in one transaction, and if loans are being borrowed left, right, and center, and we are not seeing what they are being applied to, there's a very high likelihood that the bulk of this money just ends up in private pockets. And that is why I am telling Kenyans. Unajua kuna Wakenya nimeona wakisema KBB 10 bila breaks. Unajua hiyo 10 ndio wanasahau kuongezea ka A hapo mwisho, sitataja. But this is where we are. This leadership has the problem tuko na hata ni wale wa Kenya. Ukiona Mkenya anaingia online kusema that they can vote Ruto for one more term, that Kenyan is a public enemy. Na kuna mmoja jana aliniambia, fanya mambo, nataka unitumie shilingi 500 ama kura yangu nipatie Ruto 2027. Now it's even become a blackmail.
Correct.
So if I would rather give that person 500 shillings kuliko vote Ruto 2027.
And he's not obligated, by the way.
Yes, he's not obligated
Sure.
to do that, yeah. So, but also, when we are talking about arrest, we forgot about Salasia. Specifically, the arrest of Salasia was different from all the others. You know, there's a problem if young people decide to come together. Or if one young guy decides to just sprout out like an Obama of some sort and just go around and get the sympathy. And by the way, Ruto is not afraid of Gachagua. Ruto is afraid of a guy like Murutu here or Fanyamambo or Kasmuel or whoever coming up and saying, I am going for the presidency. And starting to campaign and getting an organic support. In fact, the whole political class would come together and gang up against a boy like Salasia or even me or Babu Owino who stood up. One day there was a burial happening when they were burying the late Ongondo Were. May he rest in peace. The whole political class was there. Then 7 of us, 7 young people who've never held public office, who've never been elected, we met. That was the news. It was everywhere. It was more prominent than all those politicians meeting combined. Why? Because the biggest fear amongst the political class is a situation where young people can wake up and decide we are making Chebai president. And we all go around that and start campaigning in this country. And what will happen is, that is what they are afraid of. So Salasia, hata ukiangalia, what crime did he commit? Sini kutokea kwa Land Cruiser, akaenda na huku Isiolo and he was getting organic crowds, akaingia na nyuki and people are cheering for him. The state would not want that. That is the only person who can change the status quo. A young guy, unknown, not in the political spaces, decides to come up and say, I'm vying for president. That is the only thing the state is afraid. Others, they are not afraid of Gachagua. They are not afraid of even this guy from Kisii, what's his name, Matiang'i. They are not afraid of those guys. They are afraid of young people who would come from where and decide we are voting for.
Obuya, why are they going after Gideon Moi?
That has been injecting for the longest time, and, and they have made it. I think it's now their policy just to inject, and they're injecting properly. And I think that is why they are going after Gideon Moi. But just before Gideon Moi, I think we need to talk about Salasia, because when he started, we all treated Salasia as a joke. We thought he's a comedian. That's somebody that cannot make any impact whatsoever, but he has done. In Kenya, kama hujashikwa ukapelekwa ndani, you are not a politician. Now that's why you see Kalonzo struggling to marshal support, because hata Matiang'i akuja hapa lale ndani siku mbili, that's when he is going to hapo ndio is part of growing as a politician in Kenya. And so Salasia amepita hiyo stage ya kushikwa, so amekaa ndani a whole weekend, so he now knows better, and now he will start now getting the sympathy of Kenyans, and I hope he's going to use it to make sure that he gets the support and the sympathy of Kenyans, because like Fanyamambo says, it was so unnecessary to arrest Salasia. So unnecessary. And I think the government machinery makes the same mistakes over and over and over and over. When Joho in Mombasa was doing his first term, he did almost nothing for Mombasa people. But who made him? Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, when they were fighting him and berating him each and every time they went to Mombasa. They made Joho who Joho is right now. they are made Gachagua who Gachagua is right now. Because before Gachagua was a deputy president, nobody knew Gachagua. He was a first-term MP.
Yeah.
He was and when he was being impeached, nobody really cared because people thought, so who is Gachagua? But now they have made Gachagua. He launched a party the other day, a very low-key occasion, very low-key. And then police did what they did. They sent goons. Then there was some shooting, and then it became now national news. Then over the weekend, there were Kenya Kwanza people were talking about the DCP party over and over, from Kericho to wherever. Each and every person of government who was speaking about DCP. That's just marketing that party. They are doing the marketing for him
for free,
led by the CS of Harambee. You know CS Harambee, Farouk. He's doing Harambee every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's a Harambee and giving millions. And I'm wondering, where do people get money?
Hii pesa inatoka wapi?
Now ukiangalia budget, Jeff was sitting on kwa committees last week in Parliament.
Yeah. Budget
committees. Each and every state department is lamenting that they don't have money. Education, they want 60 billion. Health deficit 60 billion. Security deficit 40 billion. And you're asking yourself, mbona mna deficit na pesa iko huku nje? Because these people are working with money each and every weekend. They're giving 20 million, 5 million, 7 million kwa Harambee. Why does the state departments lack money then?
Hizo boot za gari zimejaa pesa.
Tena cash. Si ati watuenda kwa bank utapewa nimeleta ndio hii yangu milioni yangu 3 na nimeletea rais 2. Sasa yote ni 5 million. One person. Every weekend, Friday, Saturday, like this weekend, Friday, Saturday he was in Kibwezi. Sunday he was in Kakamega, saying the same message. DCP is a tribal party. DCP is a tribal party. And that's it. Mtu wa Kakamega na labda kwa amejua DCP ni nini.
Correct.
But now because you are talking about it each and every time, you will get intrigued and try to know what is this party that they are talking about.
This Suluhu thing, it's becoming quite something.
Snowballed, yeah.
I studied in Tanzania. My last 2 years of my law degree was in Tanzania, and I want to thank Ramadhan. Ramadhan is now the president of the East African Law Society. He was my classmate at Catholic University. I think nilisoma na very brilliant people, because Faith Othiambo was also my classmate, and now she's the president of the Law Society of Kenya. And me, I'm president of Coming to Hot 96. But all the same, but all the same, each to their own. And they are the ones who, President Ramadhan is the one who invited the Mother Karua Senior Council and all these other
former chief
justices to just come to Tanzania and help, because Tundu Lissu is going through hell in that place. And if you people think Museveni is bad, you don't know what CCM is. Museveni is child play compared to CCM. CCM is a machine for oppression, complete total oppression. They even make sure that the education in Tanzania, especially for primary school and secondary school, doesn't prepare you. I don't think at a GHC yao you can be taught anything to do with human rights in Tanzania. Human rights is CCM, and CCM is human rights in Tanzania. And it is very oppressive. Very, 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 very oppressive. There, in fact, they wonder how, like now if they see what was happening at Natembeas, they wonder even how we answer a policeman. Because for them, you can't even answer back a policeman.
No.
So what is happening to Tundu Lissu is unfortunate, but I was happy he was very jovial in court. I was happy he is vibrant. I know he's been shot several times. The time they almost killed him. They wanted to empty a magazine on him. I think God loves that guy. But we as a country are playing a very noble role. The fact that we were there, the fact that we are mounting pressure. So no hata tulienda kupiga kura Uganda mpaka wakaleta shida. Tunaenda kutoa Museveni. Kenyans are that way. We love our neighbors. We are doing our best. We are trying to help them to get to the space where they can also enjoy democracy like ourselves.
And people are you talk to people, they are telling you the elections has been rigged. I'm telling them, so you go out and protest. I'm like, I love my family. Sasa bibi yangu abaki na nani? Atakuuliza who will remain with my wife
and children. Yes.
And they ask you that. But as much as, you know, we are far way ahead in democratization of our spaces, and but we shouldn't force it on our neighbors. Actually, we should we should allow them to, you know, move to those stages, because ikifanyika tu pia those countries might collapse actually, because you know, sisi we have been there, we have gone through those stages. Remember kuanzia 92 tumepita 202 tukapita 207, we've been hata election ikakuwa nullified in 2017.
Yeah.
So those are things that are uniquely for us. So if we force them on Uganda, for example, right now, that country will collapse. Or Tanzania, or even Kagame, those countries will collapse. So we need to allow them to go through those phases. Pole pole. Tukianza kuintroduce hivi, you will see lots of resistance from Suluhu, for example. You had Museveni calling out Babu Owino for trying to go and do what, you introduce
he thought Babu is Bobby Wine.
Yes, because Babu and Bobby Wine are very close.
Yes.
And so he was calling out Babu. So such a things, if you try to go to Kagame, Rwanda right now, Kagame will call you out, or even not even speak, but just deal with you. And so we should allow our neighbors to go through all those phases that we've gone through to reach where we are, because we are way ahead of Tanzania, for example, or Uganda or Rwanda, in democratic space that we are enjoying. And some of us, some of the things, hata hizo cartoon zenye tunachora kwa internet, ukichora huko Tanzania, one media house tried to do that, they were banned for 6 months
because of one cartoon.
Unachora mama vibaya. so sisi hapa tunachora kasongo, tunaimba kasongo paka naimba song zetu, tunaenda kaongo sijui ni must go.
Yes.
You know, we say all those things, people can sing must go kwa president.
Did you see the latest?
Arsema one time
when Uganda had a problem and the president was making things very difficult, and he tried threatening Kenyans. They did that coffin thing to him.
Yes.
Then the son tried to make noise and say he's the commander of the army. They did even a better coffin for him. And then they sent to Ugandans, and then Ugandans were spreading in their WhatsApp groups and saying they are happy because they know this is from Kenya. Nobody can be victimized. But that helped, because Museveni stopped yelling at us. I mean, he realized we are not his children. We are a democracy. You're not going to rule us for 40 years the way you want. This is a country that Kenyans are willing to give their lives for, and they have done it before. The constitution of the 2010 constitution, I keep saying, is written, its ink is in blood, because so many people have lost their lives and blood and, you know, limb, and because of that constitution. So wewe Mama Samia Suluhu, endelea huko kuongea Kiswahili, but tujue, for us as Kenyans, we are not happy with what you're doing. Do you know that, okay, the police is okay, they can manage. But there are times you'll sit with Tanzanians and they see the army, guys of the army passing, and they'll stand up. They're asking you, yani wale wamevaa zile za madoadoa pia nyinyi mnarushia mawe. They don't understand. How can you know, first there's the police who they fear.
Yes.
And then there's the army who they stand up when they see passing. I think we need to visit Tanzania and understand how far those people are. Yani hata wale wa madoadoa wale nyinyi askari jeshi mnarushia mawe, they can't understand. Because when they see AP, you know, there's no AP in their country. So when they see AP, they think this combat, now this is the army we are fighting with. So for them, it's unfathomable, it's unbelievable. In fact, ours is a movie. Our news is a movie. Some of them told me they tune into YouTube just to watch Kenyan news because it's a movie. It's a movie. Like now I know that yes, I mean, my former classmates usually chat me up and tell me, yani hii ni ukweli ama hii ni AI. I'm like, hii ni ukweli. At least that's one thing that Wamunyoro came up with that resonates with every Kenyan. People at least are saying, in as much as we were saying Wamunyoro is tribal, and give it up to him. I think when you see what Wamunyoro is doing in opposition, then Raila's state in opposition becomes like child's play. It's like you wonder, what were these guys doing in opposition? Because what Wamunyoro is doing, you'd have to sit and take notes.
Like what? For example?
You see, even the conversations he's saying, the things that Wamunyoro is saying, very many people are fearful of saying. And what I am afraid of in that, uliona wakijita the loyal opposition. I don't know whether you've seen this time when people go to hunt and then they are chasing the warthog. You know the warthog is unconventional because we inawekwa kigunia kwa kichwa alafu wengine wanashika. Now there are some politicians who are seated and you know them, you know, sit here, you can tell. They are just seated. They are waiting for Wamunyoro to chase the warthog, ashike kichwa. Alafu ikikuja kugano asema nilishika mkia. Those are the guys, because right now the bulk of those politicians, they are nowhere. They are not doing any rally. They are not moving. They are not saying anything. They are not castigating William Ruto. They are just waiting for when this momentum has peaked to come and say, I should be the flag bearer. I should carry... And those are the people who annoy us the most. Rigiji right now appears to be exposed. He appears to be fighting alone. They are saying they are loyal opposition. Na wengine tu unasikia wako Serena afternoon, wanakunywa chai Sunday afternoon. Rigiji is with the people. He's out there. He's facing the risk of arrest. His roads are being blocked. He's being sent for goons. He's being tear gas left, right and center. So is Natembea. Natembea is always having rallies every other day, meeting the people and having conversations with them. Then there kuna watu wanajiita loyal opposition wako hapo tu.
Sema tu
wanangojea tukuja.
Wamunyoro, what he has done is that he has exposed the opposition. Because, you know, Kina Kalonzo Musyoka have been appearing as if they are the opposition, the loyal opposition, like Fanyamambo calls them. But the energy that Wamunyoro has brought to the opposition has just overtaken each and every person. Kalonzo Musyoka now seems to be a distant third or second to Wamunyoro. And that's the problem I foresaw. And I've been telling Fanyamambo here each and every time, but he doesn't want to listen to me, is that it's going to be very difficult to make to have a united opposition going to 2027. Very difficult, because Wamunyoro, what Wamunyoro right now is doing is that he's, you know, fronting himself as the best person, and he said it, you know, Bina's show, he's fronting himself as I'm the best among the opposition, right. And he has the votes. He comes with a basket of votes. Kalonzo will say, I'm the best because I've been in the opposition for the longest. I've done this before. I know I'm the best. Matiang'i will also come, and the forces behind him, and will say, this is my time to do ABCD. And so it's going to be very, very difficult to have a united opposition. If they do, they could show Ruto some dust. But
Rigiji cannot stand in 27, right?
Why not?
Because he was impeached?
No. Ruto Vaid facing very serious charges at the ICC. Very serious charges. What Wamunyoro is facing is child play compared to what Uhuru and Ruto are facing when they vied for presidency in 2013.
Right.
And so until and unless you have exhausted the legal process, you've gone back to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court ikasema by the way you are legally impeached, that's when you cannot vie. But for as long as this process is still continuing, Wamunyoro can always vie. Atakuwa kwa debe.
And that's why I was worried when the Chief Justice started saying that if you're impeached because that's not a matter that had come to her. That was prejudicial. I mean, she was speaking at some function and said, if you're impeached, that's the legal position. But the truth is, this matter has not been brought before you for determination. And if you speak as a Chief Justice, you have to speak about that on the floor of the court. You have to be sitting on your bench and your chair and making a determination. So it was prejudicial. I think it was unfortunate. She should not have said those words, not because it is Rigiji in question, right, but because legally a matter must be brought before the court. The court has to listen and has to give a judgment and a reason for the judgment.
Okay, real quick, what happened to Gloria Orwoba? Why was she kicked out of UDA? In short,
UDA does not entertain brains. One of the first thing they do is they open your head, they remove the brain. You are told when you come in here, you don't need this thing. Then they close your head. Now the problem is, I think when they removed Gloria Orwoba's brain, she found it and returned it back. And then she came and then they discovered, we amerudisha akili, and they don't want that.
Orwoba is drama. She's been having some run-ins with the senators at the Senate, with the leadership of the Senate. You know, she was suspended for a while.
Correct.
Then Matiang'i came into the fore, and then I think she wants this. She wanted to be kicked out of UDA. She was praying for it because she wants the sympathy votes of the Kisses, because she wants to vie in one of those Kitutus.
It's not
Bobasi, yes. He wants to vie for Bobasi parliamentary seat, and so she wants to be you know, she wants to go there as a martyr, and she wants to, you know, run on Matiang'i's shirt, coat, and say that, you know, I suffered because her mistake is she went to the airport to welcome to receive Matiang'i, then she went to the rally down there in Kisii, which is against the party, and so that's what she's being accused of. And I think she wants to be kicked out of that party. But we have seen different or several attempts by parties to try and kick out their members, but it never works.
No.
ODM has tried over and over. They tried to kick out Aisha Jumwa, they tried to kick out Sijui Nani, but it never works.
Even Jubilee tried Isaac Mwaura.
But because
just go to court, you know, unaweka kesi kama sita.
Because as of now, even as UDA was kicking out Orwoba, I think she has a court order stopping the disciplinary proceedings, and so she will go to court and argue. Despite the court order stopping the proceedings, they went ahead, which is first of all null and void. So then you start going to the only thing is that she will be so busy in court, because I think she has now have like 4 court cases. She has a case against the Senate. She has a case against Mutua and those travel agencies. Travel agencies.
Correct.
She has a case against. So she has several cases.
Ako busy.
She'll be busy, but I think atakula mshahara yake paka 2027. I think mshahara atakula.
Ako sawa.
Hiyo kitu si ya kuachilia ovyo ovyo. You have to fight for it.